unfortunately, Scotty McDermott and Andy Newport aren't here to join us live, but they were speaking about Rangers on the Record Rangers podcast, and I'll let you guys hear a wee bit from that. You can listen to the full thing on our website.
We've just been up this morning to see Derek McInnes ahead of tomorrow night's big conference league. I don't know if you can call it. No, I think reasonable, medium-sized conference league player.
I think you get the final, it's quite big.
So Jablonec, again, my lack of pronunciation skills are going to let me down here. Jablonec, is that how I pronounce it? Jablonec, yeah, right, okay. Yeah, we'll hit and hope and try and get through it as best we can. What was obviously a busy day this morning. Kosta Nedeljkovic. Again,
that's a decent
that's better than my usual affairs. He's obviously signed.
Just call him Kosta.
He's signed on a season-long loan with an obligation to buy. What do you make of the updates on that one today?
I think on the face of it, it looks like a decent signing for Rangers. It's obviously a conditional obligation to buy, which I'm assuming is the amount of games he's going to play between now and the end of the season. I think it's definitely an area they had to strengthen. I know Dujon Sterling played every weekend and did well, and I actually think Dujon Sterling, if he can stay fit and gets a run of games at right back for Rangers, he can be a really good right back. He's just never had that opportunity, and even when he did have a period where he was at full fitness, he was often used in midfield or out wide. So he can certainly do a job at right back. But I think getting the Serbian boy into Villa is a good signing. 20 years old, really highly rated at Villa. He was on loan obviously last season at RB Leipzig. Maybe didn't play as much as he'd hoped. I think he had a couple of injuries there as well. But I mean, I think they were ready to try and buy him at one point for 10, 50 million quid. He's a Serbian international already. From what I've heard, speaking to some people that know him, very quick, very strong, very athletic, getting up and down the pitch. Maybe not technically as good as a James Tavernier, for instance, who everybody will probably try and compare him to. But yeah, I think on the face of it, it's another decent signing. But as Derek McInnes said today, I mean, he sorted it with two full-back positions, but yet again, and he has sounded a bit like a broken record, he needs players in the final third. He wants more attacking options, and I think that's got to be the priority now between now and the end of the window.
Just before we go on to discuss that, and all the areas at the top end of the pitch, he's still looking to fill. But it is, interesting that again, you look at last season, the defence, it was, packed with guys that were here on loan, and I think you could tell there was a sort of temporary feel about the squad at times last season. There was guys there you weren't really sure if they had that long-term commitment in the club, and I think that sort of played out in the way that the base of the season fell apart. There was these guys there that it mattered not really a job to them whether they won or lost last year. But again, Rangers find themselves with a back four, mostly of which is made up of loan signings. But I suppose the difference is you look at obviously Nedeljkovic, an obligation to buy. Ben Godfrey, option to buy him as well once he's back, and obviously James Penrice again, an option to buy him. Is this sort of try before you buy kind of setup? Does that make no sense here in the sort of just the straight loans we saw last year?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, people will probably still be critical. And you look at a Rangers back four, and as you say, potentially could have 3 loan signings in it. So, I mean, that's fair enough, but I agree with you. I think it is slightly different in terms of the personnel, in terms of the deals that Rangers have struck, in terms of the profiles of the players as well. I mean, we spoke to James Penrice after his debut on Sunday, and it's quite clear. I mean, he is determined to be a Rangers player next season already, and he's only had 1 game. So you would think, if everything goes to plan, he will be signed. Same with the Serbian boy for Villa. As I said, 20 years old. The deal that they've struck, depending on games, is a clear indication Rangers are wanting to buy him and see him as a future Rangers player. So it is slightly different. You think last year, guys like Nasser Giga, for instance, who you just always felt, Wolves had signed him for about 10 million.
He was on £70,000 a week down the road.
Exactly. So he was always going to go back to Wolves. So I agree, there was that kind of feeling of maybe a kind of lack of commitment for a couple of these guys, but it is different this time nobody's saying it's perfect, nobody's saying it's ideal, but they're in a slightly different position this season.
Just, going back to Sunday's game, obviously, first win of the season was it's been the result that Derek McInnes has been waiting for. Huge sort of weight off his shoulders. You could see that even when the first goal goes in. I was sitting next to you, Scott, during the game, and as soon as that first goal goes in, I turn to you can see Derek McInnes down at the touchline. You could see he's punching the air.
Yeah.
As soon as the second goal goes in, again, that the relief just seemed to come off. The pressure seemed to come off him. Came back on right off as soon as St Mirren got a goal back. But just in terms of, a 5-1 win, getting a few goals, a bit of confidence, what difference can that do to this team, considering how tough they've had it at the start of the season?
It should give them an injection of confidence at the very least. And I totally agree. The relief. Well, you think that first goal for Ryan Nadiri, the relief on Nadiri's face and on Derek McInnes' face was pretty evident. And then even the second goal goes in for Dragojevic. Again, I looked at Derek McInnes and he just kind of looked to the sky. You think, thank God, finally got a two-goal lead in a game. So, listen, it's the most obvious thing to say. He really needed that victory. I agree. I think it looked, even after the game, it looked as if a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. But it's only one game. He'll have been pleased, quite rightly. 5 goals, and it could have been more. They could have got 7 or 8 with the chances that they had. But it is just one game, and it's pointless producing that for one game if they don't then go and follow up. And I know they've no game at the weekend, but they've actually getting a tough run of fixtures coming up, pretty hectic. With the European tie, their next league game I think is away to Aberdeen. We've now got Celtic Cup tie thrown in September as well. So obviously an old firm double header. So there's no rest for Rangers. It's they have to build on that win for Sunday.
I was on Hotline Live last night with Angus and we were discussing Manny Fernandez, and for me this game tomorrow night against Jablonec is a huge game for me for Manny Fernandez, because I think right now with Ben Godfrey hoping to come back for the second leg over Czech Republic, I think Derek McInnes right now is minded to bring him straight back in, because I think Manny Fernandez is really struggling compared to his form last season when he gets so much praise. I think he's a guy that looks like he's maybe coasting the wrong word, but he doesn't have that pressure of somebody breathing down his right. He's lost a wee bit of his mojo and maybe needs to come out the team for a wee spell just to get maybe rediscover a wee bit of his confidence. Definitely stay up his focus levels. That's been the thing we've spoken about for so long. But obviously, I think you asked the question today to Derek McInnes. What's your own feeling on that? What do you think his future is in the next couple of weeks? Is he got to be worried about his position?
Well, put it this way, Andy, I think as it stands now, if the Villa boy who's come in at right back is fit and available, which we think he is, it'll be in Derek McInnes' mind now. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but it will be in his mind now. Could he start him at right back and play Sterling alongside McCann at centre back? That's how poor I think Emmanuel Fernandez's form's been at the start of the season. I don't think the lack of competition and the lack of defenders at the back has helped the manager or Fernandez, because the players pretty much known that he's going to play every game, because they've had no centre backs at the start of the season for one reason or another. But I agree with you. I think his concentration levels and his focus levels have been really poor in the game so far. His game awareness, game intelligence, to me, just hasn't been there. I think I said it myself the other night in the hotline when there was one moment at the weekend. I think it was Rangers had just scored the second goal.
Yeah.
The whole crowd was up. They were singing. There was a real positive feel about the place again. 2-0 up after an absolute screamer for Dragojevic. And literally St Mirren's first attack after that, Fernandez dilly-dallies in the ball, he hesitates, he's too casual. He gets in a tangle with Sula, the St Mirren striker, and they win a corner, and in a split second, the whole crowd just turned, and they were all on Fernandez.
And that's what Derek McInnes said after the game. They cannot be, this team is still fragile, still vulnerable to one moment. One moment can turn the whole mood, and you can see it, I think the fans are just as susceptible to that. But it was from that just flicker of that change of mindset within the stadium. A couple of minutes later, then obviously Dragicevic gets caught with a short pass to Raskin, and it's, to be fair, it was a fantastic strike from Chris Mockery. But this is where this club, this team, and its individuals within it, still don't have that robust nature about them that they can shrug off a mistake. They still, one mistake sends them into a tailspin.
But that's where it comes down to Fernandez's mindset for me, Andy, and his game intelligence. As a player, knowing everything that you've said there about fragility and vulnerability and where Rangers have been, if you're a player or you're a centre-back and you go 2-0 up and you hear the crowd are up and it's positive, there's a positive energy about the place, when that ball gets knocked over the top, you need to realise the only thing they want you to do is just clear your lines and just deal with it. And that would have continued the positive energy for him. But instead, Fernandez has almost took the opposite attitude of, well, we're 2-0 up now, it's fine.
Yeah, I can take
a chance. Yeah. That has to change. I mean, you're right, that's been what's wrong, what's been wrong here for far too long. And I'm just amazed. I'm amazed that we're a year on for Fernandez coming in. When he actually said when he arrived that he felt the concentration, that was maybe his biggest weakness and he had to improve on it. It's a worry for me that a couple of different managers now have obviously tried to drill it into him about staying focused, and it doesn't seem to be working. I mean, this is a boy that was Rangers Player of the Year last season. People forget when fans voted him Player of the Year, linked with big moves in the summer. I don't know whether even that's maybe went his head a wee bit. You wouldn't like to think so, but you never know. And I just think if he doesn't switch on pretty soon, I agree with you. I think when Ben Godfrey's back fit, he'll probably come straight back in, and Fernandez will also have to sit it out. And listen, that might help him. Yeah. As I say, that lack of competition, if he comes out the team, realises he's got really good players to compete with, if he wants to play for Rangers, it might actually do him a world of good.